Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Dodgers Port. And today we find ourselves in a Tier 4 Japanese cruiser, the Kuma, not a ship you've seen me play. Reason for that? It's not really my playstyle. My playstyle is to get reasonably close up and personal and do damage that way, especially when I've got a ship with torpedoes. The Kuma, as I'm going to show you in a second, has such an awful citadel, you can't do that. You have to really keep people at arm's length. This is the equivalent of having a nice long sword and not wanting to get up against people with knives too close. If you've got the advantage of range, stick to that. So I'll show you now very quickly the armour layout on the Kuma, and it should be pretty obvious straight away. It has a simple 65mm citadel armour, which is very poor for Tier 4, and it's flat and it's miles above the waterline. You cannot allow people to be putting shells, armour piercing, into this at a range of anything less than 6 kilometres, otherwise you're in real trouble. So let's jump into the battle and we'll see how we can keep everybody at arm's length. See you there. So here we are then on the Tier 4 Japanese cruiser, the Kuma, on the New Dawn battle map. Triple cap, not my favourite map, not my favourite format. One interesting thing about this battle though, no destroyers, not a single one. So we're going to have 4 battleships and everybody else is in a cruiser. Now that could get interesting. Now I do have options for high explosive and armour piercing, which is good. I can use my high explosive at more range and against the battleships, and I can try and get citadels with my armour piercing close in. I've also got hydroacoustic and I have a spotter plane. So first things first, let's head straight towards B. We're nearer B than anything else. The ship's got a nice top speed here of about 34.5 knots. Doesn't get up to speed really quickly, so once you're going in a straight line you really need to try and avoid the zigzagging as much as possible, or you just lose an awful lot of your speed. No aircraft carriers either, so my AA is going to be completely useless in this. So how are we going to approach this? Well, we're going to have to see how it develops. What I'm not going to be doing is rushing into any close quarter fights, because as we saw in the port, the citadel on this ship is pretty darned horrific. And I know when I come up against this ship, if I see it sailing anything like at 30 degrees or better, I'm definitely firing at it amidships, and you'd be amazed how often you citadel it with even half decent armour piercing. So that's going to be my mission here, especially with so many other cruisers in the game. I need to stay a reasonable distance. This ship really doesn't suit my playstyle. I like to get up close and personal a lot, and this really isn't it. Which is why I like the British cruisers a lot, because I can play those more like a destroyer than a cruiser. But about this range, ideally I want to be staying somewhere around about 7 to 8 kilometres away from people. Make it much harder for them to citadel me, and my shooting is usually reasonable at that range. Lots of people heading into B is my first instinct, including a few of our ships who probably shouldn't be. Yeah, that one guy who's headed into B is in for a whole world of pain now, isn't he? So what I'm going to do is, I don't mind shooting everybody who's trying to cap B, but I want to do it from outside, because I am far too juicy a target if I get inside. So he's on fire, but immediately extinguishes. That's fine by me. I think the tactic here is going to be to cap C, by the look of it. We've got 3 ships heading in and around C, and they don't seem to have that many ships up there, so we'll try and cap C while stopping them capping B, and once we've done that, then we'll start to move north. So first things first, let's deal with this guy. Now I fired some torps, and it looks like he's going to turn, but he's probably not going to avoid the others that are aiming his way. Okay, he's almost certainly going to avoid my first set of torpedoes. Might struggle a bit more with the second set. And that's why I didn't fire them both at once. There we go. Okay, next ship. Right, we are capping C. We are doing our job. Enemy battleship heading down there though. Okay, let's see what our high explosive shells can do against a battleship. Now if this were a Russian cruiser, he'd be in a whole world of trouble. But first things first, the destroyer is far too tasty a target here to avoid. Should probably have switched to armor piercing here. But we're still doing quite a lot of damage with the high explosives. I'd love to get some torpedoes off at him, but my own ships are just getting in the way at the moment. Oh, I was just thinking of torpedoing him, and that wasn't an option all of a sudden. Right, this battleship definitely looks like he's heading into torpedo land. And at that range, there is no way he's getting out of the way. Ooh, however, I'm going to have to use our battleship as though it were a friendly island. Sorry, mate. That would work. So what we at? That's 2 kills. Woo. But C is now capped. They did cap B, but let's go and take it back. 2 ships over behind the island, not much I can do about those, but again still staying at about this range. I've taken a little bit of damage, but not very much. Nobody's been given a really good chance of having a ping at me yet. That's really the only way to play this ship, I think. Get close enough when you're going to do torpedoes maybe to battleships, but the rest of the time try and stay a little bit further out. I mean, we're at what, 8-9 kilometers here firing at a battleship. Considering all we're trying to do is set fire to his superstructure, that works for me. Oh, incoming. Let's just make sure nobody's got a side view. There we go. I get hit and take a little bit of damage, but by turning away from side on like that, I prevented them doing a lot of damage. We see where the next target is. Definitely it's going to be this cruiser. Now I could turn here and give him a full broadside, but I don't wanna, because that gives him a much better target. And with my health versus his health, if I can just stay angled and put most of my guns on him, that's good enough. He's not gonna survive. So you get a lot of people in this situation would now sail side on to side on, almost like the old wooden warships. Well, no, not in this game. Looking good. B now being capped. Is that 3 kills? 3 kills. Still 3 battleships left though. Holy cow. Okay, so at this stage let's focus on the battleship. We've got another battleship coming around. We've got another cruiser over there. Ooh, definitely don't want those hitting. So at this stage I'm thinking let's head for the battleship that's coming around that corner. Maybe set him on fire. But first things first, there's a cruiser sailing side on. Oh, non-penetration, really. Looking good so far. It's a funny old ship to play, the Kuma. Can't really get too tight to people to use the torpedoes very often, but on the occasions you can, they are really good torpedoes. So who are we going for? Who are we going for? Well, it's got to be the battleship, hasn't it? Battleship over there, cruiser coming around the corner, definitely going to be of some interest to me shortly. Right, so we'll now switch away from the battleship, and the reason we do that is, one, this cruiser's a nice target, and secondly, for a period of time now, the battleship has extinguished its fire and cannot be reignited. Ooh, that was a poor shot. So by the time we've finished with this cruiser, we should be able to reset that battleship on fire again. Let's give him a torpedo. I haven't used many torpedoes on this ship, and the whole point of playing a Japanese cruiser is to give people a little bit of problem with torpedoes. However, there's a good chance, and we are now firing armor piercing, of course, there's a good chance we could sink him before the torpedoes even get there, and we do. Actually, I think the torpedoes did sink him there. Oh, and I just saw a shell land off my starboard bow. And until I saw that, I'd missed the fact that there was a cruiser over there. You really should have hit me, mate, because now I've seen you, you're in a whole world of trouble. I'll teach you to fire shells at me. How dare you? So where are we now? We've got 3 battleships left. Ugh. And we've run all the way from the centre, all the way down to C, up through B, and we're now heading towards A. Certainly getting the miles in this battle. This battleship's coming around the corner, isn't he? Yes. No surprises for the fact that I'm definitely going to play peekaboo with him round the corner of this island. The battleship wants to get this close to me as he's rounding an island. That's going to be a problem. That might not be brilliant, if I'm honest. If he turns, he could probably avoid most of those, but we'll spin around and see if we can give him a couple more if he doesn't. There we go. 3 out of the 4 haven't landed on him. Now I could fire more torpedoes, but actually his health is so low, I can just sink him with the guns. And that would be 6 kills. And we're now capping A. I have to give a lot of credit to the rest of the team here. They really have executed this really well, going from C to B to A. It's a really good tactic if you want to start at one end of the map and work your way up. Now there's a lot of blind firing going on here, and the shell arcs on these are pretty good. So even though I can't see the ship, we might be able to put some shells on him. I'm looking at the minimap to see which direction he's travelling in and pointing. So there we go, look at that. Damage. Completely blind fired. Non-penetration. There's absolutely no harm in continuing to fire at him. I know where he is, I know what direction he's moving in. The battleship's spotting him for me. I'm just keeping an eye on the other battleship as well. Now his nose is going to poke around that island in a minute, isn't it? Let's see if we can get some shells on him just before it does. Ooh, bonus ball. Not only did we hit him, but set him on fire. I have a friendly battleship already engaging him, so he's not going to survive. I mean, the battle's pretty much over. Oh, especially if he gets hit by a torpedo, which he did. Just bending the shells around the corner. Do we want to torpedo him? Nah, it's too dangerous. Our own battleship could run into those. So we'll leave that battleship to fight our own battleship, because we're now close enough to this guy that we can make a real difference if we attack him. Oh, incoming torpedoes missed him. Well dodged, sir. Well dodged. Okay, now, I didn't fire those torpedoes on the aim as though he was going to sail in a straight line, because my thought process is he'll see the torpedoes coming and he'll probably swing. Now he can only swing in one direction, so by aiming them short, if he turns, he'll actually end up ahead of where I was aiming, and therefore they should hit him. That doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? And it didn't work either. Gosh darn it. Fire would be nice round about now. He's the last ship. Look at that, we've gone all the way up the map and we're heading our way back down again, without ever really getting very close to everybody. As I said, apart from the one battleship, really stayed about 7 clicks away from everybody. Good, solid win in Akuma. So there we go, a win and 7 ships sunk. And mission accomplished. Kept pretty much everybody at arm's length and just slowly whittled them down. That's why it's not really my playstyle, but if you're going to play Akuma, you can have really good results in it. It's just you have to be a little more patient than I am, and a little bit more willing to stay further away than I am. But if that's your play style, and this is how you want to play, then this kind of ship is very much for you. Avoid the Russians, because the Russian cruisers you definitely want to be more up close and personal. If you want to stay a little bit further out and take people out from distance, Japanese cruisers are your friends, especially if you're willing to hide around islands and really surprise people with their torpedoes. Well, I hope you enjoyed that battle, everybody, and if you did, pop back later in the week and there'll be another juicy battle for you then. Until then, take care. Bye bye.